So hi, I'm Quinn, and I just saw this movie called Misrepresentation, and I think it really inspired a lot of just like feelings and thoughts that I had that I hadn't really thought too much about. And so I just wanted to talk about feminism and just equality. Like, just close your eyes and imagine a world where it started out with equality, where everyone was completely equal. And the first president could have been a man, it could have been a woman, and neither of those would have been particularly shocking. It would have been exactly the same, and it would be the same with doctors, surgeons, musicians, anyone. Just, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, and no one questions that. No one, just, everyone's equal. Everyone is exactly the same. And you see a woman on the cover of a magazine for politics, and it's nothing new to you. Like, she's just as powerful as that man next to her because that's just the way things are, and you never thought to question that because that seems right, and that is right. But in the world that we live in, it's so shocking to see a woman in power. It's so shocking to see someone who isn't straight in power, or someone of color who's in power. Like when Obama got elected and everyone was just like, this huge step. Like, what if it had always been that way? What if, like, sexual orientation, race, gender, like, none of that mattered? Just imagine a world where it started out like that and it never changed. Like, it just, like, kind of startles me how different that would be from our world, because our world, like, there's so little equality that I'd thought about it, and it had definitely been a big deal to me how little equality there is. But I think that today it really occurred to me how the world could have been so different. It could have started out with women in power. I don't know. It could have started out equal. Like, imagine how different the world would be. Like, men are so much in power. Heterosexual white men are so much in power. And right now we have a black president, but that's so new. Like, that's just the past 4 years. And now he's in danger of being taken out of office by this bigoted, just, he's so different. Like, it's like we're taking a step backwards with Romney running right now. Like, we just made this huge step, and now we're reversing. We're just taking a step backwards when we had taken such a huge step forward. And imagine when we have our first woman president. Like, that's going to be such a huge deal. And it's shocking to me that something like that is such a huge deal. Because, like, being a woman, like, I imagine that I could do anything. Like, if I set my mind to it, like, I remember when I was a little kid and I played hockey, and I was a really bad hockey player, but I still knew that if I became the best hockey player in the world, they still wouldn't let me into the NHL just because of the fact that I had tits. Like, that doesn't seem right to me at all. Like, there were these guys that I would play with that weren't even as good as me, and I was terrible. And people were telling them that they had futures and that they could play hockey professionally. And they just told me that I could do it now. I could do it for fun. I could play it in college, but I'd never be able to do it for a living like I would have if I were born a man. And that's not right. And that's how little kids are raised, that girls can't do the same things as boys. And that's something that really, I think that really upsets me, how just horribly women are treated. I mean, they're not necessarily directly treated horribly, like as much as they used to be. Like, now we can vote, things like that, but we're not as respected as men. We don't have as much power as men. We're not taken as seriously as men. It just isn't right. They're like, people say that, like, more things are becoming equal now, but they're not. We still haven't had a female president. Most sports leagues are all male. I mean, the only sports that people really watch are all male. I mean, there are women's like sports on, like with tennis and things, but like people don't watch them as much as they watch like the NHL, the NFL, things like that. Like there are no women in the NFL. There never have been, and there may not be for a long, long, long time. Like a woman could be 3 times as good as a male quarterback, and is she going to get in the NFL? No, and that's not fair. And the same goes with music, things like that. Like I'm in an all-girl band, and some of the shows I go to, we're the only girls there. And all the other girls that we have really play with sometimes are just really catty, call us sluts, things like that. But then the guys, it's just when they start a band, everyone tells them like you're gonna go far, like you can do this, and for girls they don't really get the same message. They're sometimes told that like they can make it. Like I mean, my parents are very supportive. People I know are very supportive of me, but I would probably be treated differently if I were a boy, and that makes me upset. So just imagine a world with complete equality, and then look at the world you're in right now, and it's a lot different. And that is something that is a problem to me, and I'm sure it's a problem to other people, but can't necessarily change it. I mean, we could. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of work, but we could. But we're just in such... There's no equality. And that's something that's hard for me to face, but that's the way it is. So that's just my thoughts on feminism. And you can interpret that however you want. But just thanks for watching this.